Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Let's play a game. Can I finish recording this episode before my wife comes home? Let's see. Upworthy asked the question you were probably wondering, which is, what do you get when you combine comedian Trevor Noah, tennis legend Roger Federer, and the world-famous clock-making, chocolate-brewing, alpine skiing symbol of neutrality, Switzerland? I feel like doing Karnak now. Trevor Noah, Roger Federer, and Switzerland. And then you rip open an envelope and you read, apparently a delightfully charming train ride through the Swiss countryside. What are you talking about, John? Well, Trevor Noah and Roger Federer are in a tourism ad. Just last week, I told you Trevor Noah was the spokesperson for South Africa tourism. This isn't that at all. This is Switzerland. It's an ad for the Grand Train Tour of Switzerland. Let's listen.
I'm sorry, Roger, but this script just isn't funny.
But Trevor, how many times do I have to tell you? It's a Swiss tourism ad. It's not supposed to be funny.
Gentlemen, we are going to start to shoot on the train in 4 minutes.
All right, cool. Thank you. We'll see you in 5.
4. Yes, 4 minutes.
Both Trevor and Federer are half Swiss. As the sketch continues, they appear to hop on the wrong train while arguing about whether or not the ad they are filming is funny or whether it even should be. I watched it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's been a bad week for reviews. Don't blame me on this one. Blame the Daily Beast. They write, SNL comedy team, please don't destroy. Bomb their movie debut. Ouch. The Treasure of Foggy Mountain is proof that it's not easy extending sketch shtick to feature length. The Daily Beast writes, a frustrating lack of consistency holds Please Don't Destroy back as they introduce themselves to an audience unfamiliar with their rhythm shaped by the condensed format of TikTok. With an approximate 50-50 ratio of inspired silliness to repetitive edits as jokes, they're caught between a measure of evident talent and the temptation to fall back on their safest tendencies. The Beast continues, so many of the 21st century's big studio comedies fit themselves into the groove shared between old chums trying to crack each other up, a mode that only works when we're part of the gang. Otherwise, the riffing starts to grate as idle self-amusement, and the viewers get to thinking about the difference between innate funniness and the skills required to craft a film, all of which is to say it should surprise no one to learn that this motion picture was produced by Judd Apatow. Wow. Ralph Barbosa picked late Friday afternoon to announce a tour. Why so much news came out on Friday, I don't know. But he's announced dates for the 2024 Super Cool Ass Tour. Love it. The press release humble brags that Ralph Barbosa Cowabunga, released October 31st, spent 2 weeks in Netflix's top 10 TV chart, debuting at number 3. The tour kicks off January 12th in San Diego. He'll also visit Boston, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Tampa, El Paso, Albuquerque, Dallas, Nashville, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Bakersfield, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Tucson, Milwaukee, and Minneapolis on May 25th. Johnny Mac, you never talk about Matt Rife. You haven't mentioned him at all lately. I know, right? Well, good news. The New York Times wrote an article about him and wrote, Matt Rife leans into his sex appeal. You can see it, the swaggering way he poses for photos or shows off his biceps. Like a boy band star, he invites you to admire him. It says from the stage that his audience is mostly women. Part of his charm is that he speaks like a Teen Beat cover boy, saying things like, homophobia is a massive pet peeve of mine. His debut special was called OnlyFans, and he flirts with the audience. He posted workout clips on social media and uses a topless photo for his Instagram avatar. Can you hear the tides switching? Like, the Matt Rife backlash has begun. I'm declaring it. Wherever you right now, check your watch. This is when the Matt Rife backlash started. The Times writes, if Zoolander started doing open mics, he would act like Matt Rife. This is touchy territory because we already live in a world where every young musical star is attractive, male politicians need to be tall to get elected president, and the advantages for actors pleasing to look at are taken for granted. Now comedy too? Is the algorithm going to make the out-of-shape, nebbish stand-up an endangered species? Good question. I mentioned a few times all week about Leslie Jones and The Daily Show and there being no buzz. Huffington Post said maybe they figured it out on Thursday. Leslie was joined by Jordan Klepper, and they did the headlines together. HuffPo writes, it's not clear if that was a one-time team-up or if the two were under consideration as permanent hosts, but the duo brought enough energy to power a city. I'll chime in, they're not going to pay 2 hosts. Why would you do that? You're not going to. Today at Town Hall, New York City, it's the Arab American Comedy Festival. NorthJersey.com writes, co-creators Maysoon Zaid and Dean Obadallah are still tackling bigotry through comedy 20 years after they founded this thing. Zaid said, I think in this time where we're being dehumanized and we're being vilified, it's such an incredible opportunity for us to be us and to let the audience laugh with us. Today's show will feature a roster of Arab American comics and a fireside chat with actor Tony Shalhoub. Dean said, we're hoping people outside of our community who want to come and just laugh at a really good comedy show also come out. Zaid said she campaigned for Joe Biden, but since the war in Gaza, she's been iced out by Biden and his team. She joked, "My other ex-boyfriends are so jealous of Joe Biden right now because he's taken over my stand-up comedy. I don't even talk about them anymore. Oh yeah, Joe Biden, he totally tricked me. We were like arm in arm in the White House looking gorgeous in May, and then October comes around and he totally ghosted me and turned my family into ghosts. Wow. Wait, my wife is home. I told you that was going to happen. I guess we're going to take the break here. Be right back." Where were we? It's 45 minutes later in my life. For you, that was about 3 minutes. It's a lot later now. John, why don't you just do an edit? Because that's not fun. I want you to know what actually happened. I was telling you about the Arab American Comedy Festival. Dino Badala said, "My jokes really go through the spectrum of right after 9/11. The jokes were all about, hey, we're just like you, don't beat us up." I mean, literally, that's one of the jokes. Then over time, they became a little bit more about pushing back against bigotry. Over the years, festival alumni have included Pete Dominic, media commentator and podcast host. I hired Pete to be a host for me at SiriusXM. Rami Youssef and Moa Mayer also appeared at the festival. There'll be some upcoming shows. If you're not in New York City today, visit arabicomedy.com. Veer Dawes took to Instagram on Thursday to share a note and captured it. "For the 5 people who care." Someone asked me today why comedians don't host film awards in India. Now, many comedians, myself included, have scripted every film award we have. The point of having comedians host the Oscars or film awards is that for a night, a jester would humanize the most beautiful chosen people in the world since they were being celebrated already. That's when any joke is a punch-up. Here, egos won't take a joke from anyone who's not at their level, so you go big. Ironically, the bigger the star who hosts, the trickier it's going to be. So a huge star hosting works for people in the room, just not always funny for the people watching, simply because the power imbalance is off. It's only funny when the host has less power, so you're deciding between who you want the show to be funny for, the viewers or the winners. Eric Farwell writes for the 800-Pound Gorilla and caught a bunch of shows at the New York Comedy Festival and got around to recapping them. That's not a dig, Eric. I'm just explaining to the audience why I didn't mention this a week ago. Eric writes, Tina Frimmel and Robin Tran headlined 2 very different shows, crushed in 2 different venues, and had comics who were well on their way open or co-headline with them. Chanel Ali, as always, turned the room into a bunch of astronauts because after you see her set, a lot of other comedy doesn't hit quite the same way. Stacey K was astute and erudite, which is to say professionally funny in a really unique way. Notice I'm glossing over a lot, but I'm just excited to write about how good Tran and Frimmel were. Okay, when it comes to Tina Frimmel, there might not be anyone killing it as hard as her working in New York right now. There's a unique rhythm to her sets that can crescendo and fall as she wants, and by utilizing it as a tool in her jokes, there are opportunities to juice a line or let things sit a bit longer that make it feel potent, alive, and exciting. One of the best things about the way she's used her unique accoutrements of her speaking voice is to make the audience lean in to hear her. There's such power in this, and by having the audience go to her, she can take time to ratchet up anticipation and destroy. Robin Tran blends the style of 1990 and early aughts club jokes around a core part of her identity as a trans woman. Getting to see her run a set that dealt with things like the particular of her experience as a queer person, as well as a queer person who loves wrestling and M&M, with the verve and edge of someone like Greg Giraldo, helped me to champion her as the future of comedy even more. Tran is gentle but cranky, and it lends the comedy a fun prickliness. Watching her sidle up to lightly dark ideas about her dead friend with humble confidence, managing to both be the hero and a bit of a heel, is funny every single time. Some other folks Eric Farwell wrote about. Mita Johari was lucky to have such an attentive and appreciative fan base in Brooklyn, but I'm still not convinced we deserve her brilliance. She's operating on rarefied level. Eric also likes Sydney Washington and wrote in Sunday's set. She had a lot of great jokes, but one of them does something no one else can manage but her. In a story about seeing someone get slapped on the subway, she takes time to clarify the slap, describing it as a comic book smack with the word slap written above the victim's head. It's such a delightful and silly joke, but it takes a keen eye to recognize that this splash of color in the joke will help. It's so easy to miss, but Washington knows what she's after, and it kills just a little bit harder because she's so thoughtful about what each line needs. And from Exclaim, Gwyneth Paltrow's infamous ski collision lawsuit, it's becoming a musical. You may recall, earlier this year, Paltrow was found not responsible for a 2016 ski accident that left a retired optometrist with 4 broken ribs, a concussion, and permanent brain damage after an 8-day court case. In the civil suit, the optometrist alleged that the Goop Guru was at fault for him crashing into her from behind on the slopes at Deer Valley Resort in Park City, Utah. Paltrow's victory saw her awarded a symbolic $1 plus legal fees. Well, now it's a musical. It's called Gwyneth Goes Skiing. It'll premiere at the Pleasance in London's West End on December 13th. The score features original music. I would hope so. I mean, what are you going to do? Play Bohemian Rhapsody? Of course it features original music. A synopsis of the story of love, betrayal, skiing, and Christmas reads, she's the Goop founding, Shakespeare-loving, consciously uncoupling Hollywood superstar. He's a retired optometrist from Utah. In 2016, they went skiing. On the slopes of Deer Valley, their worlds collided, and so did they, literally. Oh, one more story from stuff.co.nz, aka New Zealand Stuff. They ask, are Jerry Seinfeld seats the most expensive tickets ever sold in New Zealand? I haven't busted out half-ass angry Jerry Seinfeld for a while. If you're a new listener, most people's Jerry Seinfeld's impression is, hey, did you ever notice that? Mine is the slow-burning angry Jerry, and as I describe the impression, it is half-ass angry Jerry Seinfeld. I'm not Rich Little here. I'm no Frank Caliendo, but here we go. As half-ass angry Jerry Seinfeld, New Zealand Stuff writes, it's no secret that concert and event tickets seem to go up in price with every passing year, and forking out the big bucks for big names, something most people are used to doing. But would you pay out your $50 to see Jerry Seinfeld? That's a question many fans are being faced with as they rush to get tickets to the comedian's first New Zealand show since 2017. Jerry will do 2 shows in June, one in Auckland and one in Christchurch. An in-demand ticket for row 6 would set you back $799.90 New Zealand currency cents. Row 16, $475. Stuff says $849.90 is a lot of money for between 90 minutes and 2 hours of comedy, the usual length of a Seinfeld show on this tour. That works out to between $7 and $9 per minute. In case you're curious, and I know you are, I did the conversion on Friday afternoon, converting the New Zealand currency dollars into US dollars. Seinfeld ticket, $509. That's your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the show, tell somebody about it. They might like it too. You can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Overcast, Pocket Cast, wherever you get your shows, man. See you tomorrow.